Hello there, welcome to an episode where I'm going to show you how I have been using the QuickTime player software built into the Mac operating system to make many of these videos. Now, there are definitely things that you should consider when recording any video, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So let's assume that you are using Google Slides, and when you go full screen, it actually goes full screen. So okay, and if you do Firefox, I believe it's not going to go full screen now. One thing I noticed when doing a lot of these is if you put your cursor down here, this will automatically pop up. So that's sort of a good, keep some margins around your presentation. And you can imagine if you've ever presented on a big screen, if something's a little off on the margins, you don't want to rely on using the space all the way up to the edge. One cool thing about the Google Slides is you can press L for laser, and this laser pointer comes in handy. You also have some other features here that feel free to explore on your own, and you can sort of go through different slides. All right, so let's talk a bit about our QuickTime player. On the Mac OS, if you do Command Spacebar, you can't quite see my thumbs down here off of the screen. Command Spacebar, that brings up our Spotlight search. You can type in QuickTime Player. Should be loaded on there. You could also go to your Applications folder and find it. Now, the next tip, this is very important, so especially you students out there who are preparing to record, you should always do a test of your equipment, but both the auditory and the visual aspects of it. So what does that mean? Just do a little dry run, test run. So new screen recording. And then, if you haven't picked the microphone before, you see this down arrow, and you might have to do, let's see, right click. Okay, I think it's just clicking it, okay? And you may need to do internal microphone. And do you see how as I'm talking, the sound bar here reacts? If I did none, then I talk, and it doesn't show up. So what I always do is make sure internal microphone. You might want to turn off your system settings in case some sort of sound pops up. I have had once where I had an alarm set, and the way my Mac is, it reminded me, so that threw off the recording. So just keep those things in mind. And of course, your desktop, if it's cluttered, you want to clean it up, just put it all in a folder, hide it away. So if I press record, it'll give you two options. So let's just do the simple one, click to record full screen, and I want you to watch up here. All right, watch up here. When I click the full screen, in a few seconds, it's going to turn to black. Once you see black, it is on. Now, anytime you record, you will want to often trim the beginning and the end. And you see in my top left here, I'm still on QuickTime Player. So I have to click once. It'll switch over to Chrome. And so let's say I was doing a presentation, a recording, press present. If I want, I can wait for this little timer to finish, or I could just start talking. I press escape. Let's say I'm done with my video. I go up to here, click the button, and now this has a preview. So if I hit spacebar and turn my volume on, black. Once you see black, it is on. Now, anytime you record, you will want to... Okay, so I'm going to pause that. So how do we trim? We can go up to Edit and Trim, or you can do Command T, and it's going to bring this little slider up. So you can click and drag, and if you hold that click, you'll see it sort of zoom in, so now you can go even finer. And what I like to do on the recordings is sort of wait till I see a visual. So what does that mean? In my recording here, I'm not on full screen yet. So I know that I switch over. Let's see, does it take a while? Yes, it does take a while. So let's say right here, I can press space bar, and now you're going to see the play bar go. If I want, I can wait for this little timer to finish, or I could just start. Okay, let's say that's where I wanted to start, and at the end, I can sort of click and drag all the way up until, maybe right here. Now I can click in this space right here, space bar. Say I'm done with my... Okay, let's say that was my final word. I can press trim, and now I only have 7 seconds right here. I can wait for this little timer to... Okay, and I just encourage you to play around with that. Whenever you're done, you want to Command S to save, and then save your video. And depending on what type of project, you might want to save it to begin with, just in case you want to go back and untrim what you trimmed. Okay, and then I guess the last step, okay, of course you want to save it. Let's assume I save it, is to then upload it. And depending on what your teacher has asked of you, there may be different ways to upload. Your video file is going to be probably pretty large, so you do not want to email that. My go-to is put it in Google Drive. It could be a folder or just in your Google Drive. And then once it has uploaded to your Google Drive, you can right-click on it and then create a shareable link. Then send it to your teacher, and your teacher may say, hey, let me download it and make sure I can play first. Also, another good thing with doing our test recording is to make sure that there's not some weird feedback thing going on or some other noise. I've had many students who spend a solid 10, 15 minutes recording, and then they play it again, and it turns out their audio wasn't on. The last thing I'll mention, just because I find it useful, and if you've been watching the videos, you probably have seen, is to be able to zoom in on the screen. And so what does that mean? It looks like this. So sometimes you want to be able to zoom in on your screen. What I'm doing is holding the control button and then 2-finger scroll to go back and forth. Now, when you do this, you want to pause a little so that whoever's watching, it's not too sudden. Of course, they could slow down the video or pause it, but it's sort of a courtesy if possible. So you can zoom in on different parts, and that way you can really highlight what's going on. So how do you enable that? We're going to go to System Preferences, and we are going to Accessibility right here. I'll zoom in on it for you. It used to be in a different place, but now it's in here. Zoom, scroll, gesture with modifier keys to zoom. And so I've elected to do Control. And then that way you can zoom in on certain parts, highlight it, zoom back out. This gets interesting if you're doing CAD work because not only can you do screen zoom, but you can also do zoom within the software. And I guess the same could be said if, let's say, we were zooming in on our presentation. All right, I think I've covered it. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully that will give you a sense. So the main takeaways are always test your equipment, both visual and audio. Do a quick 5-10 second check. If you need to check your Google Slides or any sort of zooming in and out, just do it. Anyways, might as well. You don't know what weird thing could have happened with your computer. And now you have a sense of how to create these videos. And then at the end, make sure you trim off any of the pieces. It's just, good professional habit. Load it in, I would suggest, to Google Drive. Wait for it to upload. Right-click, copy that link, send it to your teacher, and make sure that they can actually download and view it, and then you'll be all set. Okay, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.